So this is my large Alice pack, an all-American backpack in the UK. So nearly 7 years I've had this pack, and you're thinking I can give a really good review on it. I just haven't used it that much here in the UK. I get through a lot of packs to review, and yes, I do have a favourite, and other people get upset that my favourite isn't their favourite. And a really good mate of mine told me, if you don't like one review, keep going down Google until you find one you do. In this case, this is just going to be an honest opinion from me. And like I said, I've used it perhaps a dozen times in 7 years. So I'm not the guy who can tell you all the ins and outs of this. But I am the guy who's going to be honest with you. The only things I brought with me with this pack are things such as shelter, insulation and a cook set, which are your basics, your three basics. Now, someone from the US is going to pack theirs very differently. They will pack theirs the similar fashion a soldier would back in the 50s and 60s, using one of these with the LRRP 2-quart collapsible canteens on that side there and that side there. I personally hate carrying water in a pack. If there is another way of doing it, I will find it, because water is a kilo a litre, and if I have 2 kilos on this side, 2 kilos on that side, 4 kilos of unnecessary weight either in the pack, on the side of the pack. I hate carrying that much amount of water, and I know a lot of people, and I hear it a lot in the comments, say stop whinging about it and just carry it. Why would I want to? Let's have a look at the outside of this pack. First of all, this is the Alice Large, and the Large features 3 external pockets here on the front. Now, I'm not sure if the medium does, I can't remember offhand. These pockets here are a similar size to the ammo pouch. So if you imagine a triple ammo pouch, they're the sort of size you have where you could fit 2 mags, 2 mags and 2 mags. So if you're transferring all your basic camp kit and putting it in the Alice, you can have a fair idea of what you're going to get in there. Now, I have just got a little hexi stove. You could have your fishing kit, your survival kit, bits of first aid, you name it, you can put wherever you want. This is a sewn on front utility pouch, a large utility pouch, and another one here. Now, these side ones aren't fully facing square onto the pack. They sort of go round the corner a bit, so they're neither on the side or the front, which is a really good idea for the ergonomic use of the pack. Underneath here is somewhere perhaps you would carry a bedroll, but I have 2 bits of webbing, one there and one here. Now, I tend to put a bungee through there, and then I carry a mat, a foam mat. I'll come back out of the dark so you can see, and that fits under there nicely on bungees. And we'll come back to the sleep system, whether it should be on top of your pack up here or in the pack a little later. So what about mixing UK kit with the US kit here? I've tried, it's not a good mix. The UK 58 bottle, UK 58 beaker and pot is a tight fit to get into one of them front utilities, one of the side ones. Likewise with the mess tin as well. I found it quite a tight fit to get the British mess tin in one of them. And I do like to have the catering on the outside, so if I do stop off for lunch, I'm not digging into the pack, or just a quick brew. I'm not digging into the main body and pulling everything out to get to my stove and my rations. It's highly annoying for me. I like to have them kind of things on the front. So here's the middle large utility on the bottom front. Here's the other one, which is to the right as we look at it. It does have tie downs here and 2 pop studs. The pop studs are arranged, I'm going to say 1, 2 and 1, 2. So if you want to tighten everything up a little, I can go 1, 1 and that will loosen the lid off, or I can go 1, 2 and that will bring it in a little tighter, or I can go popper number 2, which is this lower one, and bring it down to 2, 2. And that's locked into place nicely there. And an adjuster here, which is really good quality, by the way. Now, I have had all the pack totally refurbished with new webbing, some new sliders here. It cost a bit of money to do. It was years ago. A guy in America did it because it was looking a bit tired, and he said he would do it for about 50 quid, I think, plus the cost of the bag. I didn't want a tired, battered old pack, so I got him to do it. This is a typical 58 bottle. The 58 bottle is a lot bigger than my other one, the US pattern. So again, one reason I wouldn't put water in the back of a pack like this is the weight will pull you back. The same applies to putting water on the side of the pack. Let's just come to the side. 2 webbing here at the top. One that runs this way in the middle, come down a little, and another 2 here, and one replicated this way. Could have water bottles there, giving 2 litres each side, 4 in total if you want to use UK water bottles. Now, I would rather use a different water carrier system completely, like I said, and just keep water out of the pack completely, off the side of it, off the top of it, from inside of it, like a camelback. I would rather keep water here or low down on my hip. And I always carry a little belt like this, which looks like this from British Arctics, which has a row of molly on like this. And I'd rather carry my water free of the pack entirely, and the bottle fits nice like that, and I can have as many of these bottles as I want. Can I come close to something else that might work from Brit kit transferred to the US pack? How's about one of these instead? I have a Nalgene, and in here I have a beaker from the jet boil. Now these two married up work really well. So I have a pot for my cups of tea, I have a pot for my boil in the bag rations, because it's nice and tall, married up with a Nalgene. I'm not sure if the Nalgene is a US pat or British, I know nothing about it, but the jet boil and that fit nice together, so that will fit nicely. I just need a stove for that, and I'll show you where I keep that, and a KFS as well to go with that. It's a snug fit, but it does all go in. So that works for me, and because it works for me, it's not a recommendation that anyone else do it, but if it helps you and you have these components, well worth doing. What about the stove? In these upper pockets here, like I said, it's very reminiscent of the British mag pouches, that kind of size. I have one of these, I love these little things. I know other people don't, but the hex burners, and there's plenty of fuel in that for the whole weekend. Brand new box of fuel. I'm not going to light it up because I haven't brought any water with me, but I can dig these spikes in because the ground's unlevel and have it this way round, and it sits nicely on that. Fill up with some water from the Nalgene, light up some Hexie, and we got dinner and lunch and a hot drink all from that. The system I approve of. So that into there fits like it was meant to be. I have space in there for a lighter. 3 equally sized pockets on the front of the large Alice there. That will give you an idea of their capability, and I'm not going to tell you what's put where. This is just a basic overview of the actual pack for a Brit who's never had US kit before. That's always missing off a lot of the imports. I had the guy stenciling that again. See, the webbing here is all been renewed. All this is original, but when I did get the pack, the olive drab was so shiny I had to get some fabric black spray paint from maybe 18 inches away like that, and just dust it over in intermittent patches rather than trying to spray the whole lot. And now it's faded back great. Introduce a very light dusting, so I really like the colour of it. So the actual large utility, what Brit kit have I got in this US Patternbergen? So it's the British Basher, and it fits in there a treat. I don't want to be stopping and then digging into my pack to get my sleet sheet out. So I'm mixing and matching Brit with US, as we all know. It just so happens that my kit is obviously Brit kit. I have the IPK stakes, 6 of. I use a series of jungle knots rather than the bungees now. And once again I have the same kind of 1-2 system here, so I can bring number 1 onto number 2, and that pulls the lid a little tighter. A little hidden pocket that fits right behind here, so you can put something in there, and it is also hollow underneath here. If you do have something like a basher pole, I'll leave that up to you and your imagination. So there are all the outside pockets done, and I hope you can build a mental picture up there for all the Brits who want to put Brit kit in the US pattern pack. Like I said before, you're probably best off getting the original US kit and finishing it off like a collection. But this is what I have to hand to film this, so this is how I'm doing it. Now we can spin it over and have a look at the back of it, because it is framed. Okay, this is the rear view where the shoulder straps are, and that's all it is a shoulder strap rather than a full harness. It's reasonably padded like that. Load lifters, you have to adjust with it off your back. From the shoulder pad comes into this section here, which is your quick release buttle. I can release this strap entirely, so it just drops off my back without having to take it off my shoulders. And I have got 1-2 pads because this frame sticks in my back, something rotten. Now you can use this pack without a frame entirely if your content weight isn't that heavy, or you're not carrying objects such as a wood burning stove for a hot tent, something like that, and all you have a tent, sleeping bag, cook set, some clothes. You don't need this frame. This at the bottom is a kidney pad and not a hip belt. Don't try and put this on your hips. It'll pull down on your shoulders, be uncomfortable. The nape of your back should be here. If I let this ride too low down on my hips, I get a lot of shoulder drag here, and that'll cause this muscle in your neck here to start hurting because you got a lot of downward drag on your shoulder. So if you get that, here's what you do. You need to lift it off your glutes, off your buttocks, and in the small of your back here. That is where the hip belt sits. Well, it's not a hip belt, it's actually a kidney pad. Then I can secure the buttons. Now I hope you can see how it actually falls off my back, meaning I don't have any weight at all on my shoulders, zero weight on my shoulders. So these adjustments here, when I do them up, are purely to stop it falling that way. That's all it's for. I'm not trying to carry any of the weight on my shoulders. A fool could do that, but that's enough for me. I can actually loosen this one. So I should imagine sort of a 70-30 split, 70% of the pack weight being on my hips and about 30 on my shoulders, and that's how you want it. Now if you do it any other way and try and use that kidney pad like a hip belt and drop it lower than that, you're going to get a lot worse ratio. You could really almost have 60% on your shoulders and 40 on your hips. You're going to feel every single ounce of your kit in this if you carry it wrong. The hip belt here does not go where my belt buckle is, kind of where my belly button is, and I have to carry an extra little padded belt so it doesn't slip down my legs because I've got no hips. Got a big belly muscle but no hips, so packs slide right down to me and I bear all the weight on my shoulders, which is why I have an extra little belt like that. Now rather than make this video a kind of look and see what I have in the pack, it's more about the pack. But all I have with me is shelter, insulation and a cook set and the change clothing. They are strapping on the lid, which will allow you to put your sleep system right on top externally, and that leaves a huge capacity of cubic inch or literage on the inside of your pack. So much so that that is the way I recommend you dress this pack, is carry your sleep system, that being your bivvy with a sleeping bag in it on top, and put it under the straps. So I'm halfway into a little modification with this pack, because when you get them you won't have a QR clip here, and if I'm not mistaken I think there's a mapping pocket. It's on some Velcro at the front, and this is the very top lid, but you can put whatever you want in. It's a little pocket not many people know about actually, but there you have it, and mine needs a little bit of a repair on that. The tie for it runs all the way through in a weave in and out of these grommets. Up to here. Now I cannot remember if this is a Toddle system that I put in, or it's original, I just cannot remember. But these Toddles here are also used on Brit systems, which makes me doubt myself whether that's original or not. Kind of things I have: is my waterproofs. These are all things straight out of my S90 Bergen, also in DPM. So it's waterproof trousers, waterproof smock. I've got to put it all away now. And again, I keep mine in the S90 Rocket Pocket liner. So I've got my waterproofs if it starts raining. I would prefer to have my waterproofs carried externally, of course. In here is a softy suit. Added insulation for if it gets a little colder, or even inside your sleeping bag if you want that little bit of extra insulation here. This is a pants section, and also in here a jacket section, which I'll just slip on for you now. And I actually came here to get out the heat, but in this woodland it's really shaded, and this is a really nice thermal suit. Now this could replicate your bag of clothing, even a wool jumper, spare trousers, underwear, things like that. You don't want too much, you just want really a dry set and a wet set. The foam insulated, inflatable, quartered and stowed down the back piece like that. I never put these in the roll sack, no need. And the actual sleep shelter is my bivvy bag and sleeping bag on the inside. If you want to know, the sleeping bag on the inside is my Pattern 90 and a nice olive Gore-Tex bivvy with two of my homemade lightweight bungees connecting it all together. And that's pretty much it. Shelter, insulation, a cook set. The insulation will be my clothing and the sleeping bag and the bivvy and the air pad. The shelter will be the sleet sheet I have above, British Army DPM Basher. Cook set you've seen, although I would change that out, something a little better. And there's a sleeve inside that pack where you could potentially have a camelback if that's the way you'd prefer it. And I have had camelbacks in here, and just pull on this and it tightens it all up. Other than that, that is the kit. Empty shelter, insulation, cook set on the front with the rations and the drinks. But now I always pack this here, which is my bivvy set, actually on the top lid, carried externally. And what a remarkable difference it makes to carry in this pack, which means I've got next to nothing to put into this pack other than my wets, my dries and a pad. There's my inflatable. Softy suit. I just have so much extra room without that sleeping bag in here. A lot of people I've seen strap their system here underneath this, and I don't like doing it. I've tried it. It just sits on your backside and pulls down on your spine. It's not a nice way to go. Now you got to remember that my pack is near empty because I've only got the basics in. And tighten up. Now I could actually get away with the medium Alice pack with this configuration like this, with the sleeping bag and bivvy riding on top on them straps, so I don't even need to bring bungees to hold that down with. It's all there for me. I could actually remove the frame and just carry it without, if all you have in are soft things like fabrics, as you saw, like my clothing. And I can ditch a hell of a lot of weight by losing the frame. Now, a lot of people are going to want to carry the frame just because it's part of the original kit. I don't see the logic behind doing something again that's going to add weight and a little more discomfort just because it came with it. What I like to do is optimize kit to my own advantage. I would probably take the frame off that, and it carries nice as a backpack without the frame, framed up with the runners on it and everything. It's kind of more like a ruck, so it's a cross then between a ruck and a backpack. Now, carrying it too low down really does put some stress on your shoulders. Carrying it how I do, using it as a kidney pad and having it high up, that displacement for me goes on my glutes, my bum cheeks, and my front of my thighs. It's lactic acid buildup, and you'll get it in mile 1, maybe mile 2, but you'll soon get over that, and then muscles will develop quite nicely, and you'll soon get used to not carrying the weight on your shoulders, but instead build up your glute muscles and the muscles on the front of your thighs. And I will see you next week. There's actually a young courting couple down here, and they haven't seen me, so I'm going to sneak up and have a damn good look at them.